You are not going to believe the level of selfishness I'm about to describe. Seriously, grab a drink, sit down, and prepare to rage. Because this story isn't just about money. It's about how much my parents value their image over my actual life. And it's about how the person everyone said was the family failure ended up being the only one with a heart. Here is the headline: My parents are rich. I don't mean comfortable. I mean buying a new luxury car because the old one had a scratch kind of rich. But when I needed life-altering surgery, they looked me in the eye and told me they couldn't spare the cash. Why? Because they needed to renovate their guest bathroom for the third time in 5 years. But my brother? The one they call a loser? The one who works 2 jobs just to scrape by? He did something that still makes me cry when I think about it. Let's get into the mess. I'm a 28-year-old female. I work as a graphic designer. It pays the bills, but I live in a high-cost city, so my savings are usually pretty thin. I'm the responsible one in the family. I went to college, got the degree, got the job, and never asked for a dime after I turned 18. Then there's my brother. Let's call him Leo. Leo is 25. He's the wild card. He didn't go to college. He works as a line cook and plays in a band. To my parents, Leo is a disappointment. They constantly talk down to him. They make jokes about his rusty car and his tiny apartment. Oh, Leo, still flipping burgers? When are you going to get a real career? And then there are my parents. Dad is a corporate lawyer. Mom manages the household, which mostly means shopping and judging people. They live in a massive house in the suburbs. They go on 3 international vacations a year. They are obsessed with status. Appearance is everything. So here is where things went wrong. About 6 months ago, I started having these terrible pains. I'm talking double over, can't breathe kind of pain. I ignored it for a while because, well, American healthcare is expensive, right? But eventually, I collapsed at work. My coworkers called an ambulance. After 1 million tests and scans, the doctors found a massive cyst on my ovary. It was complex, and it was twisting. The doctor told me, "You need surgery, and you need it soon. If this ruptures or twists further, you could lose the ovary. Or worse, it could get infected and become septic." Here's the kicker. My insurance is okay. It's not great. It covers a chunk of the hospital stay, but because of my high deductible and the specific specialist I needed, because of where the cyst was located, I was looking at an out-of-pocket cost of roughly $5,000. $5,000. To save my reproductive health and stop the chronic pain. I had about $1,000 in savings. My rent was due. I was panicking. I applied for a medical loan, but my credit score took a hit last year when I was laid off for 3 months, so the interest rate they offered me was predatory. It was basically a scam. I felt sick, not just from the cyst, but from the anxiety. I knew I had to do the one thing I hated doing. I had to ask my parents for help. Now, remember what I said earlier. $5,000 to them is like $50 to me. It is nothing. They dropped that much on a weekend trip to Napa Valley, so I drove out to their house on a Sunday. I was nervous. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. I parked next to my dad's brand new Audi. I walked past the perfectly manicured lawn. Inside, the house smelled like expensive candles and potpourri. Mom was in the kitchen looking at tile samples. Dad was watching golf on a TV that was the size of a movie screen. "Hey, sweetie," Mom said. She didn't look up from the tiles. "Look at this marble. Do you think it's too gray? I want it to pop." I swallowed hard. "Mom, Dad, I need to talk to you. It's important." They paused. Dad muted the TV. I sat down and laid it all out. I told them about the diagnosis. I told them about the pain. I told them about the risk of losing my ovary if I didn't act fast. And finally, I told them the cost. "I need $5,000 to cover the upfront costs for the surgeon and the facility fees," I said. "I can pay you back over time, I don't have it right now." There was a silence, a long, uncomfortable silence. My dad looked at my mom. My mom looked at the tile samples. Then, my mom sighed. The kind of sigh you make when a waiter brings you the wrong drink, not the sigh of a mother worried about her daughter's health. Oh, honey, she said, that sounds painful, but $5,000? That is a lot of money to just ask for. I blinked. I'm not asking for a vacation, Mom. I need surgery. Dad chimed in. We know, kiddo, but you're an adult now. Part of being an adult is managing your own emergencies. I felt the blood drain from my face. Dad, I said, my voice trembling, I was laid off last year. I'm still rebuilding my savings. If I don't get this done, I could have permanent damage. Dad leaned back in his leather recliner. We just don't think it's healthy to bail you out every time something goes wrong. It creates dependency. Dependency? I haven't asked them for money since I was 21. I worked through college. I stared at them. Are you serious? You guys just bought a boat. You're looking at marble tiles right now. Mom snapped her head up. Don't count our money, young lady. That is incredibly rude. We worked hard for what we have. I know you did, I said, fighting back tears. I'm asking for a loan, a family loan, for a medical emergency. Mom shook her head. We really can't right now. We've committed the liquid cash to the contractors for the bathroom. If we pull it out now, we lose our deposit and our slot in their schedule. We'd have to wait another 6 months for the renovation. I wish I was making this up. They chose the guest bathroom renovation over my surgery. They were worried about losing a slot in a contractor's schedule. I stood up. My legs felt weak. So, you're saying no? We're saying figure it out, Dad said. Maybe you can sell your car? Or pick up a second job. Uber is always hiring. Drive Uber, while I have a twisting cyst in my abdomen that makes it hard to sit up straight. Okay, I whispered. Thanks. I walked out of that house feeling like an orphan. I cried the entire drive home. I screamed in my car until my throat hurt. I felt so small, so unloved. 2 days passed. I was lying in bed, curled up with a heating pad, trying to figure out which credit card had the highest limit. I was considering selling my laptop, which I need for work. I was in a dark place. Then, my phone buzzed. It was Leo. Hey sis, Mom told me you're sick? What's going on? I didn't want to tell him. I knew he was struggling. Leo drives a car that is held together by duct tape and prayers. He lives in a studio apartment with 2 other guys. But I needed to vent. So I told him. I told him about the cyst. I told him about the pain. And then, because I was so angry, I told him about Mom and Dad. I told him they chose the bathroom tiles over me. Leo went quiet on the other end of the line. They said that? He asked. His voice was low. They said they couldn't spare it because of the renovation? Yeah, I said. Dad told me to drive Uber. Leo laughed, a dry, humorless laugh. That sounds like them. I'm sorry, sis. That's messed up. It's fine, I lied. I'll figure it out. How much do you need? He asked. Leo, stop. You don't have it. It's $5,000. $5,000, he repeated. Okay, let me see what I can do. Leo, no. Do not do anything crazy. I just wanted to vent. I gotta go. The dinner rush is starting, he said. I love you. Hang in there. He hung up. I didn't think much of it. I thought he was just being a sympathetic brother. I didn't hear from him for 3 days. On the 4th day, I was sitting at my kitchen table, staring at a rejection email from a medical grant I applied for. There was a knock at my door. It was Leo. He looked exhausted. He had dark circles under his eyes, and he was wearing his greasy work clothes. But he was smiling. Hey, he said, stepping inside. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a thick envelope. He tossed it onto the table. Thwack. What is that? I asked. Open it. I opened the envelope. Inside was a stack of cash. Hundreds, 50s, 20s. I stared at it. Leo, what did you do? My heart started racing. Did you rob the restaurant? Did you borrow from a loan shark? No, he said, pouring himself a glass of water from my tap. I sold the bike. I froze. The bike. Leo had a vintage motorcycle, a 1970s Honda that he had spent the last 4 years restoring. It was his baby. It was the only thing of value he owned. He spent every spare weekend polishing it, fixing the engine, sourcing parts. It was his pride and joy. Leo, I choked out. You didn't. I did, he said. Got $4,000 for it. It was a quick sale, so I took a bit of a hit, but the guy paid cash. And I sold my gaming PC to my roommate for another $800, and I picked up 3 double shifts this week. He pointed at the money. There's about $5,100 there. Go get your surgery. I burst into tears, ugly crying, snot and everything. I can't take this, I sobbed. That bike was your dream. You loved that thing. Leo walked over and hugged me. He smelled like fryer grease and onions, and it was the best smell in the world. It's just metal, sis, he said softly. You're my sister. Mom and Dad might be confused about what's important, but I'm not. I'll pay you back, I promised, clutching his shirt. Every cent, I swear. Whenever, he said. Just get fixed. I don't want you in pain anymore. I booked the surgery the next morning. I paid the deposit in cash. The receptionist looked at me like I was a drug dealer, but I didn't care. The surgery went well. They removed the cyst. They saved the ovary. The recovery was rough for the first few days, but the relief was instant. The chronic, gnawing pain was gone. Leo came over every day after his shift to check on me. He brought me soup from the restaurant. He changed my ice packs. He was a better parent to me in 1 week than my actual parents had been in a decade. Speaking of the devil, my parents didn't even call on the day of the surgery. 2 days later, I got a text from Mom. Heard you went through with it. Hope you're resting. We are so busy with the dust from the demo. It's a nightmare here. Talk soon. No, how are you? No, do you need anything? Just complaints about the dust from their renovation. I didn't reply. I was too angry. But I also felt powerful. I didn't need them. I had Leo. But here is where the story gets really juicy. Here is where the betrayal turns into a showdown. About a month after my surgery, I was fully back on my feet. It was my dad's 60th birthday. They were throwing a small family dinner at their house, and by small, I mean catered, with expensive wine and all their rich friends invited. I didn't want to go, but Leo said we should. Let's go eat their expensive food and leave, he said. Besides, I want to see the bathroom that was more important than your uterus. We laughed, but it was dark. So we drove over together in my car because Leo didn't have a vehicle anymore. He was taking the bus to work every day, 2 hours each way. My heart broke every time I thought about it. We arrived at the house. The driveway was full of Mercedes and BMWs. We walked in. The house looked perfect. Dad was holding court in the living room with a scotch in his hand. Mom was showing off the new guest bathroom to a group of ladies. Oh, it's Italian marble, she was saying. We had to have it flown in special. It cost a fortune, but you can't put a price on quality, right? I felt the rage bubbling up in my throat. You can't put a price on quality. But you can put a price on your daughter's health, and apparently it's less than the price of Italian marble. Leo squeezed my hand. Calm down, he whispered. Don't give them a scene yet. We mingled. Dad saw us and gave us a wave. There they are! The kids made it! He came over, smelling of expensive cologne and scotch. You look good, honey, he said to me. See? I told you everything would work out. You just needed to buckle down and handle it. I gritted my teeth. Yeah, Dad, it worked out. Then he turned to Leo. He looked Leo up and down. Leo was wearing a nice shirt, but his shoes were old and scuffed. Leo, Dad said, his voice dripping with that fake jovial condescension. Where's the motorcycle? I didn't hear that noisy thing pull up. Leo smiled, a tight, dangerous smile. Sold it, Dad. Dad laughed. Sold it? Finally grew up and got tired of playing biker, huh? What did you do with the money? Blow it on a party? I stepped forward. I couldn't help it. He didn't blow it, Dad. Dad looked at me, confused by my tone. Excuse me? The room was getting quiet. People were sensing the tension. Mom walked over, sensing a disturbance in the force. What's going on? She asked, holding a glass of Chardonnay. I'm just asking Leo why he sold his bike, Dad said. Actually, I said, my voice getting louder, he sold his bike because you two wouldn't help me. Mom's eyes went wide. Lower your voice, she hissed. We have guests. No, I said. You told me to figure it out. You told me you needed the money for your tile. So Leo sold his prized possession, the only thing he loved, to pay for my surgery. He gave me $5,000, while you guys were picking out grout colors." The room was dead silent now. The rich friends were staring. Dad's face turned red. "That is private family business," he snapped, and frankly, it was Leo's choice. We didn't ask him to do that. "No," Leo spoke up. His voice was calm but heavy. "You didn't ask, because you didn't care. You let your daughter suffer because you wanted a pretty bathroom." "We taught you independence," Mom shouted, losing her cool. "We taught you to stand on your own 2 feet." "You taught us that we don't matter," I yelled back. "Leo walks to work now," I pointed at my brother. "He takes the bus for 4 hours a day so I wouldn't lose an organ. And you stand here bragging about your Italian marble? You are pathetic." "Get out," Dad said. He was shaking. "If you're going to disrespect us in our own house, get out." "Gladly," Leo said. He grabbed a bottle of wine from the table, a really expensive vintage. "I'm taking this for the bus fare," he said, and we walked out. We got in the car and drove away. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears, but I also felt amazing. "Did you see Mom's face?" Leo asked, cracking open the wine bottle. Actually, he didn't open it. He just held it like a trophy. "She looked like she swallowed a lemon," I said. We went back to my place and ordered pizza. We laughed about it, but the fallout was just beginning. Because you see, rich people gossip, and those friends at the party? They heard everything. And my parents care about their reputation more than anything else. The next morning, my phone blew up. Texts from Mom. "How dare you humiliate us? You are ungrateful. After everything we've done for you." I blocked her. Then I got a call from an aunt I hadn't spoken to in years. She was at the party. "Is it true?" she asked. "Did Leo really pay for your surgery?" "Yes, Aunt Karen, he did." "And they really refused you?" "Yes, for the bathroom." There was a pause. "That is appalling," she said. "I always knew your mother was shallow, but I didn't know she was cruel." Word got around. Suddenly, my parents weren't the perfect couple anymore. People in their social circles started giving them the side eye. Someone even made a snarky comment on Mom's Facebook post about the renovation. "Looks beautiful. Cost a kidney, though? Or maybe an ovary?" I don't know who posted that, but whoever you are, you're a legend. But my parents weren't done. They couldn't handle being the villains, so they tried to rewrite the narrative. A week later, a check arrived in the mail at my apartment. It was for $5,000. Attached was a note from Dad. "Here, pay Leo back. We don't want him holding this over the family's head. We expect an apology for the scene you caused." I stared at the check. $5,000. It was what I had begged for. But now, it felt dirty. "Pay Leo back so we don't look bad." That's what it really meant. I called Leo. "They sent a check," I said. "Burn it," Leo said instantly. "No," I said. "I have a better idea." I endorsed the check. I drove to Leo's work. I handed it to him. "Buy your bike back," I said. "I can't," he said. "The guy already shipped it to another state." "Then buy a car," I said. "A decent one with AC and working brakes." Leo took the check. He looked at it. "You sure?" "It's their money," I said. "Let's use it." "But this doesn't fix anything with them." "Oh, absolutely not," Leo agreed. "I'm done with them." So Leo bought a used Honda Civic. Reliable, clean. He was so happy to not be on the bus anymore. We didn't apologize to our parents. In fact, we went full no contact. We ignored their calls, their emails, their flying monkeys. Thanksgiving came and went. We had tacos at my place. It was the best Thanksgiving ever. But remember, narcissists hate being ignored. They hate losing control. So about 3 months of silence later, they escalated. They showed up at my work. I was sitting at my desk, designing a logo, when my receptionist buzzed me. "Your parents are here. They say it's an emergency." My stomach dropped. Was someone dead? I walked out to the lobby. There they were. Dad in his suit, Mom in a fur coat. It was barely cold outside. They didn't look sad. They looked furious. "We need to talk," Dad said, stepping toward me. "We are at my job," I hissed. "You cannot be here." "You have blocked us everywhere," Mom shouted. "We have been trying to reach you. Do you know how embarrassing it is to explain to people why our children won't speak to us?" "That sounds like a you problem," I said. "We sent the money," Dad said, pointing a finger at me. "We made it right, and you still treat us like criminals." "You sent money to save face," I said calmly. "You didn't care about me. You cared that people found out." "You are a spoiled brat," Mom spat. My boss walked out of his office. He's a big guy, ex-military. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, crossing his arms. "This is a family matter," Dad said dismissively. "This is a place of business," my boss said, "and you're upsetting my best designer. I'm going to ask you to leave. Once." Dad puffed up his chest, but he saw he wasn't going to win. "Fine," he said, "but don't expect anything from us in the will. Both of you. Cut off, you hear me?" "I don't want your money," I said. "I just wanted parents who gave a damn." They stormed out. My boss looked at me. "You okay?" "Yeah," I said, shaking. "I think I am." That was the last time I saw them in person. That was 2 months ago. Since then, I've heard through the grapevine that they are miserable. Their renovation is finished, but apparently the contractors did a bad job and the expensive marble cracked. Karma? Maybe. They are lonely. They keep trying to reach out to Leo, probably because they realize he's the only one who might be dumb enough to forgive them. But Leo? Leo has a spine of steel now. We are closer than ever. I'm helping him look for a better job, one that uses his creative skills. We have dinner twice a week. We are a family, just the two of us. And honestly, we're richer than our parents will ever be, because we have each other's backs, and no amount of Italian marble can buy that. So, what did we learn today, folks? We learned that money reveals character. It doesn't change who you are, it just amplifies it. My parents had millions and they were stingy, hollow people. My brother had nothing, and he was the most generous soul on earth. If you are in a situation where your family treats you like an accessory or an inconvenience, don't be afraid to walk away. Blood makes you related. Loyalty makes you family. I'm going to go call Leo and tell him he's awesome. You guys stay safe, stay kind, and for the love of God, don't prioritize bathroom tile over your children.